Welcome to NC Wine Snobs as we savor the world one sip at a time. In this episode of NC Wine Snobs on Vacation, we stopped at Sango Kura in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. So for something really different for the snobs, not very frequently that we have the opportunity to try Japanese food or Japanese beverages like sake. And while we were in the Pocono area, we went to Stroudsburg, we ran across a place with their own sake. They actually made sake, and they had the fermenters on site where we could actually see their operation.
Yeah, it's so rare that you find a sake brewery in the U.S. that we just had to stop, and boy, what a cool find this is! Just the decor of the place, and I mean, it starts outside. I mean, they've got a mural on the side of the wall of a giant octopus. That was a lot of fun. They when you walk inside, there's artwork, and heck, their bottle labels were those of kind of like the movie posters for your 30s and 40s B and C movies. Just a really cool vibe to this place.
And the food was fabulous too. I mean, a ramen restaurant, it's just not something that we come across very frequently. We've had ramen from the grocery store, and we've had takeout kit from a food delivery service. But this was just so different and so wonderful. And we actually did a full sake tasting here. And we're going to share that with you today.
So here we go. And apologies in advance. Our Japanese is, well, frankly, non-existent. So we're going to butcher some of these names. But here we go. The first one up that we'll talk about today is the Junmai Ginjo, which had kind of a fruity, yeasty nose. Kind of the smell of fresh rice. Flavor-wise, it had some bright grassy notes, a little bit of light sweetness, and some flavors of tropical fruits.
Our second one up was Tarazaki Cedar, which was their take on a classic taro. And it had some banana flavors on the nose. It was drier than the first one. It had some warm spice notes like you would have in banana bread. It's like banana bread chewiness in terms of the mouth feel. Mm-hmm. You just felt like you took a bite out of banana bread.
Next up is their bourbon barrel aged sake. And what they did was they took their sake and they aged it in Silverback Distillery bourbon barrels. So if you saw our video a few days ago from Silverback, that's where they aged this particular sake in. Aromas were those of fresh rice, yeasty aromas. Had some subtle vanilla flavors to it, kind of a medium mouthfeel, with just a hint of sweetness in there that was really nice.
And our next one, moving from bourbon barrel, we're now on to dry hopped, so a beer influenced sake. This one was a light floral champagne nose. It had some funkiness, but it was in a good way in terms of that aroma. I also found that it had like a dry traminette flavor of the floral and the citrus. It had a great balance of the flavors with an underlying sweetness that got tempered with that hopping bitterness.
Sticking with that beer theme, the milky looking one is their Kvik sake. So using the same strain of Norwegian yeast that you would associate with a farmhouse style beer. Had flavors of lychee fruit on it with this really light spicy pepper kick kind of on the back end of it. And also a little bit of effervescence to it. So almost as though there was like a secondary ferment there in the bottle.
So time for me to butcher a name. The next one we tried was Nama Yamahai. It had aroma of rice wine vinegar. And actually I like that flavor or that aroma. Sweet tropical fruit flavors with a hint of some smokiness. And there was some green apple tartness, so just a lot going on in that Nama Yamahai.
From there, we move on to the Nama Amakachui. It had a clear golden yellow hue to it. Delightful, like sweet apple cider flavors. maybe some hints of peach and nectarine. And it started out really sweet, but about halfway through, it starts to really fade away. It ends up with a nice, not really a dry finish, but a nice smooth finish.
And our last of the sakes was plum. And this one was yeasty, smoky, and it had a brown sugar aroma to it. There was some fruitiness, some pear, caramelized sugar with an underlying funkiness to it.
So, what do you think? Have you been to Sango Kura? If so, what did you enjoy?
And if you haven't been and you want to go, let them know that Snobs sent you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on.